Thanks for having me.
No problem. He's just going to double check that we are recording. Okay. You've been doing press all week?
Yeah, for a few months now.
Yeah.
But it's very exciting because the tour's almost taking off Thursday night.
Next week? Or this week?
Thursday, yeah.
Oh my God.
But all of it's been great, and the reviews have been great, and all the interviews have been smart.
Yeah.
And a couple of people in Europe didn't bother to listen to the record, which was...
That's not good.
I said...
That's not good.
No, I basically hung said, I gotta go.
Oh, yeah.
Call me back when you give a shit. He went to Wikipedia and asked me a couple of things from there, and I went, I have a new record out.
It's like, that's why I'm here.
Or like, anyway, it's been great because everything else has been really wonderful. A lot of people I've known for a long time and
Right.
still have their gigs.
Right? I'm sorry, I just went and looked there and I'm just having a moment, so I'm just gonna go like this really quick because it
Thank
it
you.
was like looking like strange for a second. Okay, sorry, that was all me.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Kathy.
That's good.
Thank you for helping me. I can't be in two places at once.
All right. When you're ready. Well, you're good. So, we're good, Bruce?
Yes.
Okay. New album was recently released. I mean, I know you've released a lot of albums, but how does it feel to have Digging Deep out in stores for people to listen to?
Oh, man, it's been such a great prep period for the last year. We recorded it last year, and it takes a long time to book the tour and get the sets and the clothes and rehearse and do the album cover and redesign the website and all of that. And now we're ready to go, so it feels really great. And early reviews have been really great, so...
For you, what's it like? What was it like in the studio, the recording process? Kind of describe that energy and that feeling.
Well, I've been producing myself for a while, and I've had the same touring band for a long time, in some cases 30 years, those guys. So we have a real understanding of where we can go musically without having to analyze or fix things. And I have a terrific engineer, and we know how to do it after this many records. This is number 20, so... It feels exciting and thrilling because you don't really know how it's going to go. And I do a minimal rehearsal so we can just save it all for when the tape's... Well, the tape. It's not really tape anymore, but, I still think of them as albums with a beginning and a middle and an end. And I know people download them according to one song here and one song there, but I still like to think of them as a whole piece.
You said 20 albums. What goes through your mind when you think about 20? It's such a big number, and a lot of people don't get to that point,
Yeah, and some people have 45 or 50. I mean, that's how I don't understand. But I don't really think about it until it's time to do promotion and somebody mentions how many records or how many Grammys or this or that. I just look for 12 great new songs each time so I can add them to my show and keep the fans interested and ourselves interested. And then I just do the best. You get out of there, make the record and put it out there, get out on the road, and whether anybody's going to like it is up to them.
Right. And I know you wrote and co-wrote songs, a lot of songs on this album, and it's been a while since you've done that. Was that something that you wanted to do, or did you naturally just come up with songs of your own that you wanted to record and include on the album?
Well, I don't write often and easily, and sometimes if I find 10 or 11 great songs by other people that seem to fit together, sometimes even though I have some ideas, I'll just do the best songs that are at the time. And this particular time, after a period of about 10 years when my family, my parents and my older brother were all ill and passed away, in a short period of time while I was recording and touring 2 years each around 2 different albums. So I was pretty fried, and I took 2010 as a complete break from thinking about what I wanted to do next and do some grief work with a support person, and I really just felt all the things that had been pushed aside by all that loss and trauma. And I came out of it really grateful to have had that break, and then I was rejuvenated by Slipstream. The last record just got such a great response, and I co-wrote a song on that one with my guitarist whose music I just loved so much, and the words didn't go, so it forced me to write some songs that went with what my experience was. And that kind of got the wheels greased, and I came off the 2-year tour, which was one of the most fun ones I've ever had, and just knew there was 2 or 3 feels that I wanted to add to the show, and so I kind of wrote on assignment. So I busted the not writer's block, but I mean after all of that loss, to finally have the time and freedom and not have to be worrying about family members, I had more opportunity to write.
Is it different singing one of the songs you wrote versus a song that someone else wrote?
You know, you'd think it would be really different, but actually, by the time I pick a song like "I Can't Make You Love Me," I feel, not that I was able to write a song like that, but I feel like it's so personal at that point. But I think that especially the songs that are the ballads, like the last song on the album, "The Ones We Couldn't Be," that's a really powerful song and very personal and kind of cuts deep. So, you know, that feels different than somebody else's tune.
Right, and that closes the album in such a strong way. What was it like writing and recording that song?
Well, it was very personal, and it was about the kind of reckoning that happens after a relationship is over, you know, whether it's romantic. I mean, one of the first verses about a demise of a couple of different romantic relationships where I kind of just see it from a different perspective now. And the second verse was really about family members that, you know, and that the whole idea of I'm sorry for the ones we couldn't be for each other. I know they were sorry they couldn't be what I needed, and I was sorry I couldn't live up to the expectations. And at the time when the relationship's not working or you're under stress, you tend to put blame not necessarily where it's really accurate, or it's all about them, or if only they'd act different. So the reckoning that happens years later is that you realize you both just did the best you could, and you also realize how much of it was your own behavior that elicited that response, and you can't go back and change it. You just have to forgive yourself and move on.
There's a lot of wisdom on that track, like realization and years later kind of understanding what actually happened.
Yeah, and I hope people can relate to it no matter what age they are.
Right. Nice. For picking some of the covers on the album, what's that process like for you? Especially being someone who has been covered by a lot of people too. I wonder what's in your mind when you're picking.
You know, since my first album back in 1971, I mean, I primarily did music as a hobby. I taught myself songs I learned off the radio, you know, everything from Joan Baez songs to Stones tunes to Lenny Welch singing Since I Fell for You, or some dance song from my high school. You know, I just taught myself to play the guitar and played in my room, and I love all kinds of music. So I just loved putting a Ray Charles song next to a Jackson Browne song next to one of my tunes, like an old blues song. And it's the mixture of all that eclectic taste that makes putting an album together and a show together kind of fascinating for me. So I don't really think of it so much as covers as just tunes that I love so much that I have to do. And I've covered songs that were hits by people in the past, but because I play slide guitar and I'm a woman, a lot of times I'll sing a song that just sounds totally different when it's coming out of me. And, you know, the In Excess song that we did on this record, I love that band, and from the first time I heard Need You Tonight, I knew I wanted to cut it. And, you know, the slide guitar after it's a very sexy groove, and just to say you're one of my kind and then just do that, it feels exactly like what it sounds like.
Nice. And what's it like for you in return to see people cover your music, from Tank to Adele and Boyz II Men? I mean, so many people have sang your rich songs and try to, you know, make it their own a little.
Yeah, I mean, Adele's version of I Can't Make You, even though I didn't write I Can't Make You Love Me, the fact that she gave me such props when she introduced it, and then she did a beautiful version. And George Michael and Prince have cut it years ago, and Justin Vernon from Bon Iver does a great version, and some people have covered Nick of Time. It just makes me feel so proud, you know. And the people that were on American Idol were doing something to talk about, and I Can't Make You Love Me. So it makes me feel really respected and appreciated.
Nice. Let's talk about the song All Alone with Someone to Say.
Something to say,
sorry.
That's okay.
What was it like recording that song?
Oh man, that really is a situation I've been in. You know, when you realize later what you could have said to keep the person there or make the relationship work, and you know, there's nothing you can do when it's too late. You know, there's another song on there called Undone, which is coincidentally about something that people did say that made the relationship break up. So, you know, there's a lot of the ballads are really a lot about reckoning and regret, but I didn't see the connection until after the album was finished. But All Alone with Something to Say is just by a team of writers that is so great, and they've written 3 singles off my last 3 albums, and they had a big hit with You Can Change the World that Eric Clapton had. And it's just Stephen Dale Jones and Gordon Kennedy. They wrote this beautiful song about how we all wished we could have gone back and said it differently.
Talk about kind of your love for the guitar and playing the guitar. You're obviously so good at it, and it
Well,
was
thank
so
you.
nice to kind of see it at the Grammys.
Thank you.
Paying tribute to BB King, but also being on stage with Chris and Gary. What I guess how what's your relationship like with the guitar?
You know, it's a real extension of my voice. The thing about slide guitar and what always appealed to me about it was just it sounded like a human voice crying, and when you really crank the amp up and do the full chord, you can just be it expresses ferocity of a sexual attraction or getting off in any number of ways, including expressing anger. So there's almost every expression that you can get out of it, and there's a certain joyfulness and sensuality about playing acoustic slide like the great Delta blues men do, and then the electric slide, which is mostly what I play on my Stratocaster, and it just sustains. Just when I run out of air, my guitar takes over. So it's really just an extension of me.
What was it like when you got your first guitar?
Oh man, it was like Christmas because it was Christmas. I asked for one. I emulated my folk song counselors at my summer camp, and everybody in America, all the college kids were picking up acoustic guitars and wanted to be Joan Baez and Odetta and Pete Seeger, and then Bob Dylan came along and changed everybody's life. So it's just one of those things where it's portable. My family was very musical. My grandpa taught me a couple of chords. It's Christmas Day, and then I went up in my room and got just played till I had calluses and my fingers bled, and I just learned every Joan Baez song I could learn, and then I became the campfire counselor that sang the songs at my camp, and I just thought music can change the world, and I still feel that way.
And at that point, had you already been so in love with music that you knew it's what you wanted to do, or did that help kind of assimilate that in your mind?
You know, I just did it as a hobby. You know, it'd be a talent show at school, and I'd play some songs. Or when I went on a study trip with a bunch of teenagers to Russia when I was 16, I sat in a park and played like they used to do at Washington Square Park. I would read Sing Out magazine and see that all the folk singers would play in the parks and busk for money. And I would sing peace songs in the middle of Moscow, saying, "We all want peace. Can't we just get along?" You know, and you know, the '60s was such a time of so much social movements and so much around the power of Woody Guthrie and Bob Dylan and Pete Seeger to sing songs about peace and justice. And you know, the Staples singers, Pop Staples guitar style, just changed my life. So I didn't think I'd be doing it for a living, but when I was in college and needed to make a little extra money, I saw somebody play in a club. I went, hey, I could do that. And then I just fell into it. I happened to be the right place at the right time because I played blues guitar. I think it got my foot in the door.
And you know, your tour is gonna launch this week, and you have such a rich catalog of music that for someone like you to go on tour, you don't have to release new albums. But talk about how important it is for you to still release new music, because we see a lot of acts who've had, thankfully, a long career where they don't have to release an album, but they can still sell out venues. But for some people, they say that it's just too much passion behind music that you have to record new music. Do you feel that way?
You know, I would get so bored if I didn't have new songs to play because I mean, I want to play some new stuff. I have new things to say. I want to impress my peers. I want to give my fans something new to chew on. It's not a commercial consideration, God knows, because people don't even pay for music much anymore. But it's to keep ourselves interested and keep growing. And you know, when you come up with when you have a song that you like, that Los Lobos song, Shake and Shakes. You know, it's not just enough to record it or play it in your house. You got to get out there and play it every night. You know, we worked 5 nights a week for a couple of years off and on for the tour, go everywhere, you know, and just at the end of the tour, I just want to keep going.
What can people expect from the tour?
Well, when the record's new, it's really fun to play as many new songs as we can fit in there, but still in the course of a 2-hour show, people are going to want to hear some of those hits. And there's some songs from the first 20 years of my career from my old Warner Brothers days where there's just first or second albums when I like to go out and take something I haven't played in a long time. Because they're like my kids, these songs, and they were really hard to find. Those albums mean a lot to me, and they mean a lot to the fans. So a combination of new songs, old songs, hits, and maybe some surprise covers.
Mm-hmm. Is it hard trying to pick the set list? Because, I mean, obviously you're on stage for over 2 hours, and that's a long amount of time, but you have so many songs to
Yeah.
pick from. What's that kind of narrowing process like?
Well, there's a way to build the show, kind of like an album, but to build a show, you know, you got to break it in. You break yourselves in, you'll get acquainted, and then after 2 or 3 songs, you can drop down and do a devastating ballad, and then you got to recover. You can't do too many of those. And I always want to do some acoustic blues and that kind of stuff, and then there's a couple more places for beautiful ballads, and then the rest of them are just stompers and rockers and some ethnic stuff. And you know, I just, on a given night, there's about 4 or 5 swing songs where I can just throw in, and I'll tell the band, anybody remember this one? And they'll go, no. And then we practice it at soundcheck and throw it in the next night. So I've got a lot of old songs, but the band and I rehearsed all of November so we could pick and choose between the former records and not have to leave my favorite songs out.
Do you have a favorite on the album?
Wow, that's tough. But I would have to say the first song, Unintended Consequence of Love, I wrote the words and some of the music with my friend John Cleary. That's my favorite track because there's something about the rhythm section of that funk tune that just it puts me in the mood every time. That's why I opened the record with it. And that's where I got the title, Diggin' Deep. It's from that. Let's dig in deep and get out of this rut, baby. Resurrect our strut. So if you had to just pick one song that was just you just want to really capture the spirit of what we felt like on this record, that's the best one for me.
For you, because you've had so many successful albums, when you go into recording and writing an album, is there ever pressure to match what you accomplished with the previous album?
No. Well, Slipstream did. I mean, I put the same amount of heart and soul in everything. Every time I come out with a record, it's about the same amount of work, the same amount of excitement, and the same amount of stretching, and you know, try to give everybody something, including me, something new, a new way of looking at stuff. Mm-hmm. And Slipstream was so unexpectedly, well received. We got a Grammy for it for Best Americana. You know, it made me nervous knowing I was going to be writing more of the songs, and I was saying, oh my God, I know so many people out there that are going to say, this one, unfortunately is just not as good as... I don't like to be compared. I just wish everybody would say she's doing the best she can, and especially because there was more risk with my own tunes. But so far, everybody's relating to them, so I'm really smiling a lot these days.
I think the cool thing, too, is when you think about kind of all of your Grammy wins and nominations, there are a few artists who have been able to win in different categories, like rock and pop and Americana. Have you thought about that too, about like how your music, the sound is so versatile?
That's great to hear you say that. I know that pop music and modern R&B doesn't sound much like the rootsy kind of stuff that I do, so I'm glad there's the Americana format because it's a overall umbrella for people that do that kind of straddle the genres thing.
Right.
And you don't have to look a certain way, you don't have to be a certain age, I don't have to dance and pyro or, have my hair a certain way. I can just age and do whatever I want, and because I'm established, I think people understand and appreciate where I'm going to go because they know I put a lot of care and effort into making it as good as I can be. But I don't think about whether I'm gonna make it over on that chart or not. I know that Nick of Time and Luck of the Draw was a special moment in time, and even if Nick of Time had come out now or in 1980, I don't think it would have had the response that it had.
Do you have some contemporary favorites, contemporary singers right now that you
really... yeah, there's a band called Lake Street Dive. Oh, Rachel Price. I mean, that whole band, everything they do knocks me out. There's a couple of great new artists, J.D. McPherson and Brandy Carlisle, and I love John Fulbright. He's in the Americana world. But, Bruno Mars, come on, and Adele, let's just talk for a second. I cannot get enough of Bruno Mars. And I listen to a fair amount of pop music, and there's stuff in commercials on TV that I would just want to Google what the heck, what band was that? I mean, who's ever music directing some of those car commercials? It used to just be country music with slide guitar and trucks and beer and all that, and now it's just some of the most raw, funky stuff. So I'm really getting less and less sleep clicking on links that people send me.
The cool thing about some of those car commercials or other commercials is it'll give a song, it'll introduce the song to certain people. I think like Fun's "We Are Young"
Yeah, and
was in a
Feist.
commercial.
And
Right.
Feist on that Apple phone thing,
Right,
and that
right,
was
right.
killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of the best singing I've heard on those commercials of people I haven't even heard of.
Right. Do you like to listen to songs like on Spotify or Apple Music? Do you like to stream music, or do you prefer to get your CD, or do you listen to the radio? Where do you primarily listen?
I listen to a lot of podcasts on NPR, and I'm listening for songs so much of the time and I do like to buy the music, but I know that I'm in a position where I can afford it,
Right.
and it's a business deduction, so it's different than other people for whom $11 is a whole different matter than
Right.
people that are as lucky as I am to do this and have expendable income. But I listen to, I stream classical music and sometimes jazz, but I like to support public radio as much as I can, non-commercial stations and internet stations from like WOZ in New Orleans and the Martha's Vineyard stations. There'll be certain stations that I really love that play a lot of African music. But I think my listening is it's not pop music so much because I do that for work. I listen to singer-songwriters and research to find my new songs. So when I'm just doing recreation, I put on all those CDs I didn't get to hear. I mean, now they're loaded into my phone and my laptop.
You know, you've been able to do so much in your career. Do you have a list of other things that you want to still do?
Oh, man, I would love to travel to, like, Fiji and Thailand and more of Africa. I've only been to Mali, and I'd love to go to hang out longer than a minute in the Celtic islands of Scotland and Ireland and just, travel. But I have a big operation to support and a lot of group social causes that I support and, bunch of guys in my band and crew that are going through their life savings every time I want to take a month off. They're going, are we going to have a new record and get back on the road? So I feel like I'm singing not just for me. So
Right.
I'd like to travel, but all in good time.
And part of the ticket sales for your tour goes to a charity, right?
Yeah, well, they actually go to music education, like blues and music education, where all the schools have cut down their programs from lack of funds. And then there's Safe Energy, which is promoting wind and solar and stopping fracking and nuclear power and getting off of fossil fuels. And there's another one where it's sort of campaign reform and fair elections and getting money out of politics, which I wrote a song on the record, one of the
Right.
few political songs I've written called The Coming Round is Going Through. And I really want to see the ways that we can work across the aisle with the people from the opposite political spectrum and get money out of politics, work on climate change, those kind of things. That's what we're tithing from the tour, $1 out of every ticket and a lot of special benefits seating.
You talking about the political song that you wrote. What was it like writing that and putting that together and recording it?
Very cathartic to write that song. And I knew going into the record that was one of the topics I wanted to put to a real four on the floor stomping rock and roll song where I could turn up my guitar and go head to head with my other guitar player who co-wrote the song with me. And I just wrote the lyrics just all in, a very short period of time about, if you're going to be pissed off, you might as well put some words to it. And this song feels exactly like what I'm singing about. And I wrote it on purpose so the other side could actually vent that the system is broken as well. And let's face it, too few people at the top are controlling too much of what's going on in our lives, and they got too much of the cake.
Right.
Yeah.
Well said. Are you have you had a chance to pay attention to the current election, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, when my stomach stopped being upset, and I'm disgusted at the waste of reasoned debate. There's no reasoned debate in the middle. There's no in-depth discussion about how these programs could work. And I know that's going to happen after the primaries. There'll be both sides. But, I never thought that Bernie, who I'm a supporter of, would get the traction he's gotten. And he's saying stuff that's so important for everybody to hear, Republicans, Democrats. And who would have thought Donald Trump would get this far? So clearly people are dissatisfied. I think it's too much of a circus, and it's not enough in-depth on I think this is really an important election, and I think the topics need to be discussed and researched and shared across the board. We all need to to really educate how it feels and what it looks like from the other side, and not just listen to our own preaching to the chorus.
Right. Nice. Well said. You know, I wondered too, because you have such a rich catalog of music. Do you ever, when you're listening to your old stuff, what goes through your mind? Or I mean, I know people don't watch music videos as much, but if one of your music videos kind of comes on, what do you think about?
Look at those shoulder pads. I mean, sometimes if it's, I mean, I didn't make videos until I was 41, and I remember who I was dating at the time, and I remember the guys in my band, and I look at my makeup and my hair, and it's just like it was yesterday when you look at photos of your family. I mean, I can remember bathing suits when I look at a picture of myself at 5, and I go, man, I remember putting that bathing suit on. So when I look at my videos and listen to my albums, they're like little postcards of exactly what was going on at the time, you know, who I was in love with, who I'd just broken up with, that kind of thing.
Nice. Was there anything else you wanted to add or say specifically?
No, but you covered a lot of great stuff.
Cool.
And then you got great questions. You didn't even have to read them.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
No, I really appreciate the
I
fight.
appreciate it. We know we're excited, everyone.
I know, but it means a
in
lot
this
to
room.
me that you know that much about the record and me. And
You have to. You have
Yeah.
to do your job.
well, if you're a good journalist, you
Right.
do.
Right. I know there are
Yeah.
a couple of us left, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's just respect, and I appreciate
Right,
being.
exactly.
I'm so honored to be in a position where somebody wants to talk to me and give me this kind of forum.
Well, we're seriously honored for you to be here. So many people.
Thank you.
The staffers are so excited.
Thank
that you're
you.
here, and everyone's kind of waiting to say hi.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll have a little picture taking fest
Yeah.
out there.
And you know what? We have an entertainment show in London called Entertainment Now. So if you can just look in the camera and say, hi, I'm Bonnie Raitt, and you're watching Entertainment Now.
Okay.
You don't have to do that.
All right. Hi, I'm Bonnie Raitt, and you're watching Entertainment Now.
Perfect.
I probably saw it when I was just in London for 10 days.